My name is Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation, and you could write into our counselors. It's a free service. You could also subscribe to this channel to learn more about marriage, and I'm going to respond to this. I don't know if there's really an answer. It's more of a, my husband wants sex more than me, what should I do kind of thing. And there's a simple answer, and then there's why. So let's start by talking about gender differences. Because the reality is, no matter what all these people are saying about gender neutrality, that men and women are different, you know that that's not true. I mean, as a woman, you know you're very different than a man. When I would meet with women who would get stubborn about their husbands', let's call them idiosyncrasies, because to them those were idiosyncrasies, although in reality it was normal male behavior, I would say, look, if you're not going to be compassionate and understanding about this, I can almost guarantee you're going to come back as a man. And the women would, every one of them, I don't want to be a man, I don't want to be a man. So don't get too cocky here, because when I said to men, if you're not understanding of your wife's emotions and their quote unquote idiosyncrasies, you're going to come back as a woman. And men go, what? So let's get real here. Men and women are different. And among those differences, on the surface, men want sex more than women. But that is on the surface, truly. And I know I'll have like a herd of psychologists say to me, blah, 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 and a herd of men and a herd of women when I say it's on the surface, but it is. So if that's on the surface, what is beneath the surface? What's beneath the surface is what's really important in a marriage. What's really important in a marriage is that you're able to transcend your bodily inspired desires, cravings, what have you, and resistance to them. Because what's beneath the surface is you. What's beneath the surface for your husband is him. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the soul. Should be obvious, right? We are souls. Oh my God, I'm going to get so many responses to this. But it doesn't matter, because the truth is the truth. And you can argue with it all that you want, however it suits you. But the truth is, we are souls. And this is not a religious program. But you're a soul. You have a body. Well, let's start with that. Do you somehow think that you are the body? Well, that's preposterous, right? Because if you lost your hand, you would not say, I'm less of a person. You still are the same person. Okay, then a psychologist, because Western psychology doesn't acknowledge souls, will say, yes, that's because you are the mind. Okay, then what should you do with people who have quote unquote lost their minds? As people get older, they start becoming less able to maintain themselves. Many people, they lose their memory. Are they less people? Do you just kill them? No, of course not, because that's not the person. The person is the soul. As a soul, we have a body and we have a mind. And the body of the man does things according to the male physiology. Both bodies are comprised of trillions of cells. I'm giving you like a science education that you probably had when you were a kid. Bodies, all bodies, are comprised of trillions of cells. Can we agree with that? Sure. Okay. What is the driving force in each and every single cell? Every single living cell is the drive to survive, right? Self-preservation. And it manifests in individualized cells in different ways. And then when you combine cells, let's say into a plant, it starts, these are evolutionary steps. The plant now is still all about survival. And, I used to be a grower. If you want seeds to come from the plant, you cut back on the water. It thinks it's dying, and it produces seeds or a flower. It's true. So you can use this knowledge of how the drive to survive impacts different species to sort of manipulate them. But we don't want to manipulate your husband. That's not what I'm driving at. What I'm driving at is that you want to connect with your husband on the level of the soul, right? Isn't marriage all about love? The most abstract thought psychologists say that it's an emotion. It's not an emotion. Yes, there are emotions that we call love, but that's not love. Real love, and you can relate to this, is that feeling here, not up here. Up here are emotions. Here is the true feeling. The Hindus actually call it chit. Not all the Hindus, because this is very deep spiritual knowledge. It's called chit. It's the feeling of yourself as a soul. And it is all love. When you experienced that love? When you got married and you were exchanging your vows. Or when you've gone to other weddings and the couple is exchanging vows. There's this moment of overwhelming love. Everyone's felt it. And you have too. So that is real. It is not sensory driven, right? You don't feel it, taste it, touch it. When I say feel it, I mean with your fingers. It's of the heart. It's real. It's why you get married, for God's sake. You get married to experience that love, and you want to experience that love without end. You want it to grow because you know intuitively that love has no limitations whatsoever. It is the most tangible reality that we have ever experienced, and we know that it is not limited. Everything else is. Everything. Because it's material as opposed to spiritual. Spiritual has no limitation. We get married for the spiritual experience of love, don't we? And it brings ever-increasing happiness when you're in touch with it. So, how does this start working out? Your husband wants more sex with you because he's driven by his biology. Okay? Simple answer. He's driven by his biology to literally have sex every time the opportunity arises. By his biology. I'm not suggesting that he should, but that's what's happening to him biologically. Take a look at any animal. Because our body is an animal body. Male animals, look what happens when a female dog is in heat. Every dog from miles around smells it, comes around, bam, wants to have sex, and then move on looking for more. That's what it's driven to do. Well, our body is a human body, but it still has all of these animalistic traits. And that's one of them. We modify these for existence within society and so that we can get the most out of our life. But it's there. So that's part of why your husband wants sex more. Why would you want sex more when your body is only telling you to have sex when the egg within your womb is ready to be fertilized? Well, there are psychological things that make you want to have sex, like to attract a mate, and then, it's subconscious. You're not going, geez, it's time for me to get married. I think what I'm going to do is turn it on. Some women do that. Hookers do that to attract men, knowing that men want to have sex all the time because of their bodies. Although they don't put all that together like I just have. But that's a reality. Now you're married. And you want that deep connection. Okay? You're supposed to want that deep connection. And from here on, do that to yourself. Have this expectation that I want to have this deep connection at the level of my soul. This very spiritual connection. That's what I want. And expect to have it. And you can have it. Now you have to learn how to do it. And sex is one of the methods that you will learn how to connect with your husband in order to have that deep connection of the heart. But if you're seeing sex as entertainment or release or some game or some fun, you're missing it. You're missing out. Recreational sex will not produce that connection. But if you want that connection, you can use sex to achieve it. So if your husband wants to have sex, I'm bringing it down now to the way to utilize this. If your husband wants sex, it's an opportunity for you to have that connection. So you should take advantage of it. Another thing, men are, and I'm not going to get into it like I just did with this whole other thing. You can trust me on this. Men are sensitive. They are. They're more in their ego than women, and they're sensitive. And if you reject your husband's advances for sex, you're going to lower his self-esteem, his self-worth. You're also going to tell him you don't love him, and you're going to start breaking apart in your marriage. So it's just not a good idea. Does that mean that every time he whistles, you jump into bed? Well, pretty much, but you do it with much more class. You don't have to jump right into bed. You can acknowledge his desire for you, for instance, as a compliment, and let him know, wow, you want me. How cool. And you could tell him, it turns me on that I turn you on still. And then you can diplomatically push off when it's going to happen if it's not a good time. Or you could overrule the resistance that's in you, which might be based on laziness. Who knows? But you should take advantage of that opportunity, and you should be very careful not to reduce your husband's self-worth. I hope this has been helpful to you. Now, if you really want to excel at marriage, which means really gaining that love and happiness that you deserve when you're married, that is right at your fingertips, take the course for women. Read one of my books. For sure, you should subscribe to this channel and learn more about marriage, but it's up to you. The benefits of anything come to those who work for them. Thank you for spending time with me. Blessings to you and blessings to your husband. Take care.